Alright, so last time I did the dual wield thing with the 22s. Saw a video between then and now. It was an active shooter drill, and guys were like, holding the fucking gun up here and shit. Okay. Granted, this is a little 22, but something like a 9mm slide usually goes back a little bit farther. This is just an unawareness in general of what you're doing and how a weapon operates. And I'm not going to turn this into a great video. You want to hold a gun that way, that's fine. You know, I get it. That's cool. A couple ways you can probably go about this. Personally, I would go this way, but that's me. So if I draw, and that's the thing about, when you draw a sword, you step forward or you step back. Okay, if I maneuver into a position and I've just drawn my gun, I'm not going to stand there and rack the slide and wait for that crowd to part in the mall, because the fucking car may come in with Chuck Norris and 2 Uzi 9mm. Who the shit knows? The point is, let's say, being a smart ass. Let's say, okay, I have the gun in this position, and then rather than just, I need to bring my hand over because for some reason, or I need to cock that hammer, whatever. But that's another reason. If you look at, go on, go play. Of course, I would never pick my cat up with a loaded gun. One of the reasons that I talk about this, as a 22, you can use that foregrip, that whatever you want to call it. I can't remember what I named all this shit, just different things to say this is this and that is that. If you want to hold a gun like this and it recoils back and up a little, then this can give you support against that, and that's fine, or maybe the gun's a little heavy and you need some support to take a steady aim. That's fine. Different people are different. But if you look at what I was getting to there, was with the old single action revolvers, you couldn't double action those. You had to cock them and fire, cock them and fire. So this is something that has some historical precedent. It's not just, the Matrix or whatever, ooh, look, this looks modern. No, there's actually, this idea of a fighting stance. So, when I'm shooting a gun, do I put my hand in my pocket like I'm on the FBI range and I better get that going? No. You don't do that. I mean, would you fight like this? I mean, some people might, and we call it kosei. But then you're going to look like this. And I'm not trying to make fun of the old school guys, the Weaver stance and all that shit. And that's fine. That's fine. Isosceles. That's fine. But, when I see someone doing this, it's like, dude, that slide is like gonna jam you right in your eye, and you're like, oh, I'm in a John Wick movie, dude. And the thing about aiming and firing is you like to take your time and get that, but like I said with the punch, you know, I turn a corner, somebody throws a punch, I've got a split second. Well, in that same sense, I've got a split second. So this whole overhand grip thing, yeah, the gun's going to go this way, and it's going to push back into my arm. And there's, some sort of historical lesson in that, because we're this single action. It's not just, this is some cool new way of, it's not a new way of looking at things. How would you fight? If I were to come up to you right now and push you and get you into a defensive frame of mind, you would go. You know what I mean? You'd sink your weight. You'd bend your knees. You'd go, what's your problem? Putting a gun in the hand of that same posture changes nothing. Fundamentally, no, it does not. And that's when you start to stray from proven concepts. Tested concepts. People say this martial art doesn't work, that one does, this one doesn't. And there are different martial arts that manage different domains. So, if I'm, in striking range of a guy, I may want to use some, Wing Chun type stuff. Whereas if he shoots in, I may go to Jiu-Jitsu, and then, then he takes me to the ground. So, now I'm into this BJJ territory where it's, so just because you put a gun in your hand, well, yeah, it gives you a little bit more lethality, definitely. But would you go from this to, hey, I'm going to use the force, and so you have to have an awareness of, what this is, that it does have moving parts, that if you're going to go into a confined area, keep it out a little bit, You don't necessarily have to be looking down the sight the entire time. I can shoot, just by, and it's right into the phone. Okay. Now, is it as good as taking my time? A hit's a hit. Talking about different parts of the body or whatever, is it a lethal hit or not? If you have a split second, a hit is a hit. A gun is a gun. If it goes through the person, they got shot. In a boxing match, scoring a hit is better than not scoring a hit. So, is it going to be exactly the same? No, but my legs, aren't going to change. Maybe this from the portion up has changed because I now have this to focus on. But my waist down, it's the same thing as if I were fighting. And when I have this up here, and all of a sudden all my attention's focused on this, why is this going on? There's going to be powder coming out. There's not going to be much, especially with modern firearms. This slide's going to roll back. That's going to be loud as shit. Keeping a little bit of distance with this hand posture, and it still gives you something to where you can reach this side and deflect and whatever. But, what I talked about before with, take a Saigon, keep it down a little bit. If you need to bring it right back up, you can. But if you want that to be up like that, then keeping it sort of, like if you stand squared off and you just kind of give this, kung fu, like, oh, but I'm looking this way. I'm stepping this way. And I can pivot and turn. Another thing is backstepping, which I'll get into that later, but it's, versus side to side. In Jiu-Jitsu, they do a 45 degree. You can do a 90, and you can do a 45. But this immediately takes me out of, if this line of sight were right there, and I'm standing here and someone draws and I go, whereas if I go headshot, it's a basic kata, just receive, strike, draw, shoot. Rack if you need to. These should all be motions. It should be and this takes a little longer. Which that's something to work on. But, for everyday usage with a single sidearm, really the reason I do this is if I have two of them, But for everyday, single sidearm, let's say rifle empties, you throw the sling to the side, that quick. You can shoot that quick. You can shoot that quick. There's a lot of talk going on, and that's cool. Discussion's a good thing. But there comes a certain point where you've been disproven mathematically time and time again. And you don't have a leg to stand on. And when that point comes, you have to make a decision. So, like I said, I don't want to turn this into a chewing video, but I'm seeing a lot of really bad habits that I've been griping about for years. And I would like to see less of those.